now turn over to a conversation about the importance of partnering for a cure for rare disease from a parent's perspective. And our next speaker is Jamie Silver, a parent advocate with the EB Research Partnership. Thanks, Jamie.
Thank you for including me on today's panel. My name is Jamie Silver. I'm co-founder of the EB Research Partnership, a nonprofit dedicated to funding research to treat and cure epidermolysis bullosa, also known as EB. More importantly, I'm the mother of a 7-year-old with this devastating condition. For those of you new to EB, and I expect that many of you are, it is a debilitating and potentially deadly genetic skin condition that causes blisters and wounds all over the body. For a child with EB, even the simplest of everyday activities, tripping on the playground or swallowing a piece of candy, can rip the skin inside and outside of the body and leave wounds that never heal. A young man with EB explained, "My body feels like it is always on fire, and pain is a constant in my life." This is what my son Jackson and many of the 30,000 other people in the US that live with EB contend with every day. I shudder to think that this constant sensation of burning is my son's status quo. Jackson was born with all his skin intact, but when a nurse removed a Band-Aid from his foot after a routine heel prick and all the skin on his foot came off with it, we realized something was drastically wrong. His skin has been shearing off his body inside and out ever since. It's a mother's job to nurture and keep her children safe, and EB makes that a real challenge. How do you protect a child whose skin is constantly tearing off? Every day I bathe Jackson and wrap his body in bandages. Caring for him often means causing him his pain to help his wounds. We go through $10,000 of bandages and hundreds of needles every month to try to keep Jackson infection-free. We are in a constant battle with EB and live in fear that one day it will win. The harsh reality is that at present, the life expectancy with someone with Jackson's form of EB is at least 50% shorter than yours or mine. I'm the mother of a 7-year-old with EB. I know how precious his time is. Fortunately, there are reasons to be optimistic. First, we're not alone in this battle. Preeminent researchers are working on protein, cell, and gene therapies. And EB is the perfect guinea pig for research. Scientists know exactly what causes it. Second, it will be visibly apparent when a therapeutic treatment is working. Unlike many diseases, which can only be seen using scientific instruments, EB is very conspicuous. A treatment's effectiveness will be easy for even the human eye to measure. Fewer blisters, wounds that heal more quickly. Third, research for EB may have multiple applications. Some of the treatments being developed, including gene editing, could potentially help those who suffer from many of the 5,400 incurable genetic conditions. Finally, I'm confident that individuals with EB are eager to participate in clinical trials. Children with EB are considered lucky if they live into adulthood. And again, they live in unimaginable pain. These realities obviously influence the risk-benefit calculation when it comes to experimental treatments. Watching your child suffer the way I do, and knowing that clock is ticking, makes inaction the riskier choice. So why is it taking so long to heal EB? And why do I believe that partnership is the key to a cure? Shortly after Jackson was born, I familiarized myself with the research landscape. I found that even though the science and technology to find a cure for EB were there, the funding to do so was grossly insufficient. Given the small patient population, the prohibitively high cost of drug development, and the strict and often inflexible regulatory process for clinical trials, pharmaceutical companies were shying away from EB in favor of developing drugs for more common conditions. As a mom of a child with wounds all over his body, I find it ludicrous to think that a life-saving EB treatment should be subject to the same time frame and regulatory process as a prescription cold medicine. Children like mine are dying from EB. Few people are dying because of a common cold. It is essential to invest in drugs for rare diseases. The NIH is a partner, and a good one, but it's unreasonable to think that the NIH can cure every rare disease. However, the NIH should focus on and draw attention to rare diseases because they affect 10% of the population, and the healthcare costs of someone with rare disease can be incredibly high. At $10,000 a month, Jackson's bandages will have cost over $1 million by the time he is 10. Multiply that by the 30,000 people in this country with EB, that's $3 billion. Investing in a drug for EB all of a sudden makes a lot more sense. Venture capital funding is also essential to drug development. However, for more VC firms to become interested in orphan drug development, the regulatory process has to be faster and more transparent. By creating a framework that decreases the risk and increases the reward for VC firms, it is more likely that they will become partners in the battle to help cure rare diseases. The priority review voucher established under the Creating Hope Act is an example of the type of creativity needed when it comes to incentives for drug discovery. Finally, nonprofits should benefit from funding early-stage medical research. Often, organizations such as the EB Research Partnership take on the initial risk of funding early-stage medical research to the point where it would make it onto the radar of the NIH, VC firms, or drug companies. Historically, however, nonprofits have not been rewarded for doing so. By partnering with for-profit companies and universities, the EB Research Partnership has adopted a venture philanthropy model. When we give a grant, we retain the added upside of generating a recurrent revenue stream if that treatment is commercially successful. This revenue can then be used to fund further research. This is a more sustainable model of philanthropy and reduces the risk to VC investors and drug companies when they get involved later in the process. Curing a rare disease can only happen through true partnership between the rare disease community, the government, for-profit companies, nonprofits, universities, and drug companies. Together, we can drive research forward at a rate that will benefit this generation of those living with rare diseases, Jackson's generation. Thank you.
Thank you, Jamie. Thanks, Jamie, and thanks for sharing Jackson's story. And you really hit on some of those critical early stage elements of this ecosystem that we're talking about, and the types of ideas and the types of proposals that Congress can really help drive forward.